What's going on, y'all? I'm Brandon Atlanta Man Bang, coming to you live right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, Thunderbolt, Georgia. Another installment of Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Rubbin' is racing, grubbin' is tasting, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on this Wednesday night. Hey, man, if it's your first time tuning in, we're going to go ahead and get the show underway. You know how we like to start it out. If it's your first time tuning in, man, we like to start it out with something we call the word of the day. So the way we play this game is every time I say this word throughout today's episode, you're going to take a sip of your favorite adult beverage, right? I always like to say it's age appropriate as well. If you're under the age of 21, you can play along. It's Wednesday. We've been back in school. Get some Kool-Aid, sweet tea, energy drink. Stay up late on a Wednesday. So this week's word is going to be, I have no idea what it is. Last week's word was championship. So I'm sure I said that quite a few times if you played along. Probably had a pretty good buzz going by the end of the show. But like I said, this week's word of the day is going to be, I have no idea. Lauren's going to throw it up there. But every time I say it, take a sip of your favorite adult beverage, man. We got a special episode of Rubbin' and Grubbin' tonight. Like I said, I'm going to recap some Darlington, some of the things that we saw there at the Southern 500 in Darlington, man, because it was an awesome race. And we're going to get right into these playoff predictions, man. I missed 1 week last week. I told you who I was taking number one. He didn't quite win, but he finished second. Hey, man, we're off to a good start. But I'm going to go down, break down every race, who I think is going to win, the 4 out at the end of every round, and how I think it's all going to play out all the way down to that championship 4, man. Getting right into it, y'all. Like I said, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and recap that Darlington race. What an awesome race it was there at the Lady in Black, man. The track too tough to tame. And I tell you what, it's kind of awesome for me. It reminds me of bringing me back to my childhood, honestly. Watching that GMS Petty 43 go and pull into victory lane just brought back a lot of memories for me. Somebody in my family, my Uncle Bobby, really, who taught me a lot about NASCAR outside of my dad. Both of them and me watching. I mean, they got me addicted to it when I was like 4 years old, along with other things. I mean, they were both pretty bad influences on me. But at the end of the day, my Uncle Bobby's favorite driver was Richard Petty of all time. He absolutely loved the King. He had a huge room in his house that is all just pretty much Richard Petty stuff. I mean, from tires to bumpers to hoods to stuff that only came out during the 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, he collected forever. So it was very cool for me to see. He brought back a lot of memories. Uncle Bobby, I love you. Hope you watched a little piece of that. He tunes in every once in a while to some NASCAR. He's been tuning into the show lately. So hopefully he's watching tonight. But I know if he was watching, he'd love to see that 43 back in victory lane, man. So just an awesome deal. There again, Eric Jones drove the wheels off that bad boy in the last 20 laps, man, to put himself in position to get his second career Southern 500 win, man. So big kudos go out there to that Jones boy, as they like to call him. Eric Jones, to me, is a really top-notch race car driver. I mean, won an Xfinity Series championship there, turned around, had some struggles there at Gibbs for a little while, kind of lost that ride out to Christopher Bell, another there again champion in Xfinity. Found his home there at Petty Motorsports GMS, and to be honest, this is GMS's first win after being involved with Richard Petty. So big, huge moves there coming. I mean, you saw it all year long, just the momentum building, having really good runs, a few bad ones, but really good runs, especially to me, taking that team from one of the lower tier teams in the sport with a big name up to, a higher B team, if you will, in my eyes. They don't go out and contend for wins week in and week out, but they have had really fast race cars throughout a majority of the season. So with that being said, I think it's a direction that they're headed. I think that you're seeing the future, especially now that we know Noah Gragson is going to be driving that 42. In my eyes, one of the most talented drivers coming out of the Xfinity Series. Not only the talent behind the wheel, the personality, just the character that he is. I mean, it's good for the sport to have guys with different characters and different things that they like. And, the one thing I love about Noah Gragson, he's aggressive. He drives the wheel off of it. You can clearly see by the videos he posts, he goes out and parties after the race, which I think is awesome. And on top of that, he don't take no shit. I mean, you've seen him throw hands on a couple different drivers throughout the years. So I think it's definitely going to be a great addition to Petty Motorsports. I think it's going to help build that team for the future, especially two young drivers and the equipment and the direction they're headed. I think as long as they keep pumping that money into getting those engineers and getting who they need in that shop, building these fast race cars and putting them together, hey, man, you're going to be good for years to go. But, an awesome victory there and an awesome deal to see that 43 back in victory lane, especially there at Darlington, man. So Do got to give some more big shout outs out there at Darlington as well. Just a little piece of information been floating around. We saw back-to-back races where the 3 and the 43 won. So 7-time championship numbers, winning back-to-back. And the last time that happened, I want to say it was either 98 or 99 with Earnhardt Sr. and Johnny Andretti. So at the end of the day, we've made a little bit more history there now. I'll knock on wood. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if we see the 48 win this weekend at Kansas, that'll be the first time ever that you've seen all 3 car numbers belonging to 7-time champions win back-to-back-to-back. So there again, we got a chance to write a little piece of NASCAR history, just kind of outside, the statistical part of it, but just more of the lore about it and the historical aspects of numbers and what drivers drove them. It could happen, man. We'll have to see if Alex Bowman can bring a fast hot rod there this weekend at Kansas and win, but it is pretty neat to think about. So look, it looked like all night, man, it was going to be a Gibbs car that won. Toyota showed up strong there. You had Martin Truex Jr. there dominating that race for a good part of it. Had some issues there late. Sounds like to me they threw a belt. Don't know if that's exactly what it was or not, but he radioed in over a few laps, couple laps into it going, hey, water temps are jumped. I've lost power steering. So to me, it kind of sounds like a belt. And then to turn around and have another guy in Denny Hamlin, leading the race there again, having a really good fast race car, makes a kind of a bad pit strategy call there towards the end of the race, and comes out and thinking that their day's over. Well, lo and behold, his teammate, there again, Kyle Busch leading the race, coming in. I think he missed a shift off pit road. He never really said it himself. Go figure, that's Kyle Busch for you. Denny kind of addressed it for him. I think he missed a shift coming off pit road, blew it up, blew the motor in that thing. Probably was going to win that race if you ask me. But he didn't. So there again, put Eric Jones in the catbird seat there with 20 laps to go, and hey man, ran it. I thought Denny was going to catch him there towards the end. I really thought Denny Hamlin was close enough at the end to dive bomb him in and just kind of use him up and door him up, and he didn't. So I do got to give big kudos out there to Denny Hamlin as well for racing a clean race and not taking the win away from a guy who really works hard all year to put himself there to finally get that win. So big kudos there. But I tell you what, man, if Gibbs brings fast race cars like that, they're going to be hell to contend with on these mile and a half week in and week out. We saw it throughout pretty much a majority of the season. So just be on the lookout for them as we get a different mile and a half. But did look really fast there at Darlington. Just the lady reached out and grabbed a hold of them. Couldn't come home with that checkered for the coach. But at the end of the day, had some really good fast race cars there, man. So all in all, man, Darlington never seems to disappoint, especially me. I don't care how boring it is to other people out there at Darlington. I really don't care if anybody passed or not the whole race. Darlington, to me, is just a big, huge piece of NASCAR history, man. So anytime that we go there, especially now 2 times a year, I'm glad we're back to racing there 2 times a year. There for some years we weren't. But we're back to it. And to be honest, it's one of my favorite races of the year. I look forward to it, and it didn't disappoint. I mean, it's just so hard to pass there, and it's so hard to manage tires, and it's just a hard racetrack to set a car up completely. You might be good in 1 and 2 and not in 3 and 4. You're giving up a little bit in 1 and 2 to gain in 3 and 4, or vice versa. So NASCAR, hear the fans, keep it. Southern 500 is an awesome race, man. Don't ever start shortening the races down from 500 miles. This is definitely one that we got to keep at 5. We got a 400-mile race there earlier in the year, and you just see with that extra, that last 100 laps, 100 miles adds into a race. I mean, it's just extra drama and just the nostalgia of it going from daytime to nighttime and how big of the swings the crews have to make on the cars to adjust for that. It's just an awesome piece of history, man. So I really hope we never lose it. But Darlington, to me, hands down, awesome race. And even better to see that 43, like I said, back in victory lane, man. So big kudos to them. Hopefully they'll keep it rolling. So we're getting ready to get right into this, man. My playoff predictions for the 2022 championship in NASCAR. Now, before we get into this, I don't want anybody to go out here and hold me to this 100%, because honestly, what I'm going to tell you is this is like picking a Sweet 16 or a Sweet 16 bracket, if you will, in college basketball, right? We're not even going to go the whole bracket, just the last 16. If you had to pick out 16 teams that are going to make it all the way down to that Final Four, it's rough, man. And this is a little bit different because all these guys have won races. All these guys have gone out and done big things. Thank you, brother. contended week in and week out throughout the year to put themselves in a position to be here. So at the end of the day, before I get started, I will say don't quote me on it. If I miss one, obviously that's going to mess up the whole bracket. But basically I'm getting ready to run through where we're going, what track, who I think is going to win, why I think they're going to win. And then when we get down to those cutoff rounds, I'll tell you the 4 that I think are going to be eliminated from the playoffs as we go from 16 to 12 to 8 to 4. And we'll ultimately end up with me in the championship. And if you've watched the show, you guys should pretty much know I've been calling it from about 5 weeks in on who's going to win the championship. It hasn't changed. So we're going to get right into it, man, and we'll start it out this week going into Kansas. So a little piece of Kansas, I absolutely loved it. I've been there quite a few times. My uncle actually used to live about 25 minutes away from the track, him and my Aunt Dana. So it was an awesome. Now, this was before the reconfigured. I didn't get to see the progressive banking, which I wish I would have. This is in the very early days of Kansas. But just an awesome racetrack. It never seemed to disappoint. It's just multi-groove now with the progressive banking, and you see guys hook on the bottom, you see guys go up top, you see guys run the middle. Restarts are key. They use that front stretch on that apron, man, to get clean air and get away and try to shorten the track up. So I expect a really exciting race again at Kansas. We saw one early in the spring where Kurt Busch brought it home. Kurt Busch will not be racing this weekend as far as what I've heard right now. So we got Bubba in that 45, and I tell you what, man, there's no reason why with the race car Kurt Busch had, if they can set it up for the field that Bubba likes, Bubba could go out and win this week, man, I tell you what. But my prediction, winner of this week is going to be the candy man himself, Kyle Busch. If you go back and you look at that spring race there, it was all Toyotas. Toyota dominated, man, that top 6, 7 race cars outside of Kyle Larson. They had really, really fast race cars. I think Kyle Busch there was leading it for a while before, Larson got to him and Kurt Busch got both of them. So I expect the Candyman to bring another really strong race car. He's won a few times there at Kansas. I'm telling you right now, 1.5 mile Gibbs have been fast all year long. I expect the same thing coming back into Kansas again. You saw it there at Darlington last weekend. We had really fast Toyotas up front. I think you're going to see it more throughout the whole field of the minimal amount of Toyotas we have. I expect all of them to be fast, but I expect the Candyman to go out and get the checkered flag, locking himself into the round of 12. So I think if he's going to get it done, this is one of the better racetracks for him to get it done at. I hate to talk about Kyle Busch like that because he has won pretty much everywhere we go, or mark my words, he has won at every single track we go to. Let's get that right. So at the end of the day, I just think it's with the speed they're showing, I think it's about putting the whole race together more or less than showing up fast. I mean, you have a guy that can drive the wheels off a race car. You got fast equipment. I think it's a team effort to find the 18 team has to be flawless. Ben Bashore's got to make the right calls. They got to be, flawless on pit road, execute correctly, and I think you'll see Kyle Busch out front and taking the checkered flag. So that's just my output on Kansas. That's the way I'm looking at it. There again, I think that, in October especially, or in the second race of the season, he's had more success than in the spring. Don't quote me on that. But I do know I've seen him battle a couple. Chase Elliott, the win he had at Kansas a few years ago, it was kind of battling out the 18 car of Kyle Busch. So at the end of the day, I just expect Kyle to go out and get it. And that's my prediction on that one, man. So, we're going to go ahead and move right into Bristol. But before we do, I'm going to pause right here on station identification, Coach's Corner Sports Network. Got to give a big shout out to John and Adele Henderson. Thank you guys for letting me do this. And you see the sunshine on me. Last week it was hotter than 2 rats. This week it's hotter than a hooker's doorknob on payday, y'all. So pardon me, man. All right. So getting right into probably my favorite race of the year outside of Atlanta. I mean, I love Atlanta. That's my home track. I'm always going to root for it regardless. It's Bristol, baby, and it's the real Bristol. It's not this dirt stuff we've been doing in the spring. NASCAR needs to go ahead and take a playbook out of North Wilkesboro that came out this week and say, nah, you know what? We ain't even going to do dirt, man. We're going to keep it. We're going to take it back. NASCAR needs to take it back to that asphalt surface, concrete, whatever you want to call it, the asphalt now. But at the end of the day, man, we're headed back for this night race at Bristol, and I tell you what, man, this thing is going to be exciting. It's going to be fast, and it's going to be hectic, man. It's a cutoff race for that round of 16 going into the round of 12. Guys are going to be hungry. Guys are going to push it hard. They're going to be very aggressive, more aggressive than what we've seen already throughout the year, which if you go and ask me, I think this year has been one of the most aggressive seasons we've seen driver-wise. And I think that comes to play with just the amount of talent we have in the sport now, and the equality of the race cars and equipment. I mean, this next-gen car has really leveled out the playing field, and I hope it stays that way. I really honestly do. I hope NASCAR regulates it to stay that way. But if y'all know my main man, Chase Elliott, I ain't got it on, but I do got the Bulldog hat on. I'm going to take Elliott to win it. He's been talking about going to Bristol for about a month now. I'm telling you right now, I don't know why he said it there coming off of the road course we were at or whatever. Watkins Glen there, he was ready to go to Bristol. Man, we were like 3 races away from Bristol, but Elliott's there. He's ready. Elliott's going to go out and win this night race.
Come on, man.
It's at Bristol, y'all. I'm telling you, Chase the Bulldog Elliott brings home that trophy at Bristol. That's just my opinion on it. I look at it like this, man. When you look at what it takes to be successful at Bristol in that night race, you got to have patience, you got to have a fast car, and you got to be aggressive whenever you got to be aggressive, right? I think the 9 team checks all those boxes. I think that, one, you've got a really good pit crew. You've got a guy in Alan Gustafson that knows what you're looking for in a race car. Chase always has a knack for Bristol. He seems to show up fast there year in and year out, barring getting caught up in any BS. Kevin Harvick, a couple other guys in the past, if you will. But at the end of the day, I look at the 9 to kind of be the team that, you know, might not have the car to lead the whole race, but at the end, you can guarantee, barring any mishaps and barring getting taken out in somebody else's stuff, that 9 car is going to be there contending, man. So there again, I think out of these 3 races, this is probably the best shot that he has to win. And I guarantee you, he's going to have a good car. He's got it circled on the calendar. He said the comments after Watkins Glen, ready for it. Now, whether that was be retaliation against his teammate, which I don't think will happen. I don't think Elliott's that kind of guy. I think if you put Kyle Larson in front of Chase Elliott with 5 laps to go and Chase had the chance to get to that bumper, the gloves are off, he's going to get that bumper, I promise you that. But at the end of the day, I look for the Bulldog to have a strong run on that 9 when we hit Bristol. So that's who I'll take to win Bristol, man. So like I said, that'll wrap it up in that first round. Going down to the round of 12, we're getting to the elimination. There again, the 4 cars out in my book, it's not hard to see. I mean, most of them are in the back of the pack. There is one that I am going to save for the round of 12. I think somehow in these next 2 races, they find a way to rebound from the car catching on fire, and that's Kevin Harvick. I think Kevin Harvick makes the round of 12. But the 4 out right now, we got the 14 of Briscoe. He gone. That Ford's gone. Austin Cindric, he gone. That Ford's gone too. Austin Dillon, the 3 car, I think he's gone, and I think Daniel Suarez is gone. Now, I'm not taking anything away from these guys. I just look at the inexperience outside of the 3 car being into the playoffs. One's a rookie this season. I mean, Chase Briscoe's got to win, but after that, hadn't really done much. There again, Austin Cindric's got to win. There again, after that, didn't really do much in the season, few top 10s. Daniel Suarez there has been a pretty good race car. I just think that he has some issues from the inexperience. The pressure kind of gets put on him. It comes down to Bristol for him. And I think that Kevin Harvick is just way more experienced at this. I think Kevin Harvick is good at Kansas. He could possibly win there. Who knows? Have a really good run. We saw him having a top 5 run there at Darlington before the mysterious flame caught the car on fire. And there again, I think that, Bristol's another good racetrack for him. There, we saw him with Chase Elliott last year in this race, get a little hot and heated, banging and doing their thing. Elliott kind of held him up and allowed another guy to win the race. But at the end of the day, that's racing. Do unto others as you do, or, do unto others as they do unto you. And that's one of those deals right there. So I think those 4 cars, for me, it doesn't come down to necessarily the talent of the race car driver. It just comes down to the inexperience in the playoffs. So there again, the 14, the 3, the 2, and the 99 all find themselves out of the round of 16. So we'll leave that there. We're going to get right into this round of 12. But before I do, if you guys haven't yet, please go out, like, share, follow. So getting into the round of 12, man, and when you go through and you look at these tracks, we got Texas, we got Talladega, and then we got the Roval. So I think that all and beyond, this is probably the most well-balanced round that we have. You got to be good at everything. We got a 1.5 miles, we got a road course, and we've got a super speedway. So we don't have a short track, but we're coming right off of Bristol. So I think those 4 races in the row are really, really, really tough on teams. You've got to be able to swap modes and go from a 1.5 miles to a super speedway down to a road course. And be able to hit on the setup on all 3 of those and be able to be fast if you're in the round of 12. I mean, you've got to be fast. We're down. You're racing the rest of the field, yeah, but you're really racing these 12 guys to do better than what they're doing at a race week in and week out. One bad race can really change your season, especially in these playoffs now. Points are hard. The competition's tough, man. So getting right into this round of 12, starting it out at Texas, man. So everybody complained about Texas. We all know that. Everybody complains about what Texas is. Look, I'll tell you what. If they bring the tire compound they had at the All-Star race and it does the same thing that happened at the All-Star race, minus all the BS at the end with Ryan Blaney and NASCAR making their own decision, yada, yada. I get it for the All-Star race. Point-paying race cannot be. Got to stick by those rules. Got to get done what you get done, and got to mean what you say. You cannot swap them up and make a, just a kind of spur-of-the-moment call now that we had the rule book in place, and this is a point-paying playoff race. So NASCAR, take the memo from the All-Star race, do it right. But if you're asking me who I think is going to win Texas, it's not Ryan Blaney, y'all. It's going to be Denny Hamlin, another Toyota. I think Denny Hamlin there hadn't had the best career success at Texas, has a win or two there. But there again, I think if we go back and we look at that All-Star race, he found a way to end up in second. Maybe should have won it based on what happened. I think that they come into the playoffs strong. I think the 11 team knows what they're doing once you're in the playoffs. I think they find a way to bring fast equipment, not make the mistakes that they were making earlier in the year, and just continue to grow. I think if you make a mistake, it's got to be in stage 1, early stage 2. If you make this late stage 2, late stage 3, you're done. You're out of it. So, but I think the 11 car does it. I think Denny Hamlin, very good there again at 1.5 mile tracks. Pretty much good everywhere we go. I think this year's kind of been iffy for him, but he's coming back strong. So I'll take Denny Hamlin to win at Texas for sure. So getting right into that next one, Talladega. This is where you guys probably would think that I would have had Denny Hamlin. I don't. I take Ryan Blaney here. I think that Ryan Blaney is probably one of the most underrated guys when we talk about restrictor plate or super speedway racing, right? At the end of the day, he's got a knack for it. He's always found a way to be up front. We did see him kind of get knocked out there at Daytona early. That's kind of getting caught up in other people's mess. That's just kind of nature of the beast. Talladega will be the same, but I expect the 12 to keep his nose clean. A lot of people probably could have said no Joey Logano. Yeah, man, I probably could have went Logano there as well. I think Logano will be right there helping them, but at the end of the day, I think Ryan Blaney finds a way to get the checkers at Talladega, locking himself into that round of 8. So moving right into the Roval. Come on, man. We're talking road courses, and I know there's a couple guys out there. We talk Kyle Larson. We talk Tyler Reddick. Come on, y'all. Y'all know the Bulldog, the bow tie man himself, Mr. Chase Elliott, is going to regain the crown for being the road course king, man. He's kind of, got to do it. So I look for the 9 car to be strong again. This is, I think, the only time I've got somebody winning multiple races in the playoffs. I might have somebody else in there again. Until we get down to the championship, obviously. But at the end of the day, man, I think the 9 car's just been strong all year long. I think when we go back and look at those road courses, he probably should have had at least 1, maybe 2 more wins. Larson definitely kind of got the best of him at Watkins Glen. He lost the one at Indy to, the wildness that happened on the restart. He lost the one earlier in the year to Tyler Reddick on, pit strategy or, coming off pit road and got behind there. So at the end of the day, I just think he's been there to contend for these wins, week in and week out when we hit these road courses all season. Chase Elliott goes and gets the job done at the Roval, y'all. So that wraps it up for the round of 12, man. I mean, it goes by quick. You got to keep up. But at the end of the day, 4 cars going to be out in this round. And this is really, it even gets tougher going into these rounds than it does moving into some of the others. Like the finals, I think, are a little bit more easy to pick than the ones where you have more options and what guys are going to come out and perform outside of those wins and those regulars that we think are going to. And if Darlington's any indication, I really have no idea what I'm talking about, because I don't think anybody had an idea at Darlington to watch the amount of playoff drivers that had trouble, that struggled. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at these 4 cars out, and I started out with Alex Bowman, Kevin Harvick, Ross Chastain. Yeah, I said it, Ross Chastain, and Christopher Bell. I think these 4 guys, it's just a set of tracks, and when we go and we look at the competition they're running against and who it is, I think Harvick survives that round of 16 into the round of 12, but he doesn't survive the round of 12. I think that when you look at those, Texas might be his best shot to get himself a win to lock himself down and in, but Talladega and the Roval are definitely not a couple of Harvick strong suits. So at the end of the day, I think that's why he's out. Alex Bowman, to me, has just been too inconsistent all season long. I think they're going to be good enough compared to those other cars to make the round of 12, but definitely not the round of 8. I think there, again, inconsistencies will come up to bite them. I could be proven wrong. He could go out and win one of these 3. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I just look for the 48 to be out as well. The one for Ross Chastain, I think this is the round here, especially at Texas and especially in the Roval. I think these are rounds that if he has any shot of making the 8, another bird that he ruffled the feathers on out of the 6 or however many this year, especially one that's double ones, the 11, still owes him some payback, and I think this would definitely be the time. So I think if you have Ross Chastain inside that round of 12 and doesn't have a win, and he's contending for that win or looking at locking himself in the playoffs, I think you'll see a guy like Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, who knows, put the bumper to him and take him out and ruin his day and ruin his playoff. I think he's just made too many enemies for them to let him run clean for the rest of the year to contend for that championship. We'll see. It might be all the way down. If it, they might let it run to the Final Four. I don't know what they're going to do. But at the end of the day, I think just all the bad things throughout the season catch up to him. He misses the round of 8. Christopher Bell, another guy there again that I know has had really fast race cars. When you go back and look over the last few weeks and some through that midsummer, he was up top 5, top 7, top 10s week in and week out there for a long time. I think the inconsistencies come back to get him as well. I think you've seen some troubles on pit road, losing tires, slow stops. You have that happen to you in the playoffs. You find yourself in a must-win situation if everybody else runs good. So there again, I think it's just the inexperience of running in the playoffs and being that team in the playoffs. That means, what do we got to do? How can we contend? How can we do? So those are my 4. Once again, Alex Bowman, Kevin Harvick, Ross Chastain, and Christopher Bell do not make the round of 8, man. So we're going to get right into the round of 8, but before we do, I'm pausing again for station identification on Coach's Corner Sports Network. I'm telling you, it's still hot out here. The sun, it's going down. It's almost down, but it's still hot. I got some nice cold water. Like I said, Coach has got to import this from like the Antarctica or like the northern polar cap up there, man. Like Santa Claus drops this water up here because this is the best water I've ever had in my life. All right. So getting right into the round of 8, and this is where we really start getting down to the nitty-gritty on allowing no bullshit, by the way, y'all. Because at the end of the day, you're racing 8 other guys to continue into that next round. One bad race, one wreck, one DNF, one 2-lap down finish is going to divide you tremendously from the other 7 drivers, barring anybody else having that option or having those things done. But at the end of the day, it is a tough round. I mean, this is where, legends are made, man. I mean, we've seen Chase Elliott win a must-win at Martinsville to lock him into 4. We've seen other guys that really needed to have good runs not, or guys that, really had to go out and have a good one do it. So this is something that it's definitely where the nerves are felt and the pressure is on these guys to make that round of 4, to make that championship 4. And this is it. I mean, this is basically, you got 3 guys that are going to win, and you got, 1 spot or maybe 2, unless somebody goes out and wins all 3 races. But to me, after the season we saw, you're going to have 3 different guys win these last 3 races. And when you do, it's going to leave 1 spot open for points. And that's where it's going to get rough and tough, man. So we're definitely going to see what they bring to the table and what it brings. But at the end of the day, this is the pressure cooker round for some of the most talented guys in the sport. So getting right into it, Las Vegas, I tell you what, I'm going to lock this guy in, and that's the 22 of Joey Logano. Joey Logano shows up again at Las Vegas. He's done it for years. It's one of his better racetracks, I would say. He always seems to find a knack there. Ford runs good there. He runs good there. And he's always in the Final Four. If you go back and look through the last few seasons, the 22 is always a staple. Penske has always had a car in it. I don't think this year's any different. I'll take the 22 being the first one to assert himself in the round of 8 to lock himself into that round of 4. There again, I think there's a couple opportunities out there before to make these other rounds, but this is his best shot in this last round to bring it on in and get himself locked into the playoffs. So 22 wins Vegas. You heard it right here, man. Homestead. And I know a lot of folks out there are probably looking at it going to Homestead, Miami, and going, why hadn't this guy said this number yet at a couple of other tracks or where we know he can go and win? And that's the 5 car. I think that Kyle Larson goes and gets the job done at Miami. We know Miami is progressive banking, multi-groove, very fast around the top there towards the later part of the race or once that rubber gets laid down. And we know the 5 is one of the best at it. We also know Tyler Reddick is too, but I think Tyler Reddick will be out before this round. And there again, I think this is the best shot for the 5 car to lock himself into the playoffs and get that win. I think that, when you go and look at it historically, he's had really good runs there. He's got some wins there. I think that Kyle Larson is going to go and show what it means to be Kyle Larson in the 5 car with Cliff Daniels. I think they bring the speed. I think they bring a really good setup race car there, and he locks himself in at Homestead, making himself the 2nd guy locked in. So far we got Joey and we got Kyle Larson making it, man. That's just my honest opinion at it. Like I said, I think that Kyle Larson is probably one of the most talented race car drivers behind the wheel out there now and that we've ever seen. Now, I don't think statistically you're going to see the numbers that we've seen through some of the other greats just because of the natural raw talent and the equipment that we see, the Chase Elliott's, the Ryan Blaney's, the older cast, the Joey Logano's, the Kyle Busch, the Denny Hamlin's, those main 15 guys now that we have in that contend for wins. I don't think we're ever going to see another guy win 80-plus wins in a career like we've seen Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Sr. Kyle Busch could possibly do it if he finds a ride, one, and two, which I know he'll find a ride, but two, get hungry again and go out and contend for these wins the way we saw him when he was a younger man. So we'll see if he can find that, but I think those days are done. But hands down, one of the most talented guys ever to get behind the wheel of a Cup Series car in Kyle Larson. So watch that, man. Martinsville. Woo, man. So this is the tough one here. Martinsville is a cutoff race as well. We know it's a short track. We know these guys are going to be running up front around each other. It's going to be who is willing to, make somebody mad, get somebody upset, because I think it's going to come down at Martinsville to moving somebody out of the way to get that win to lock yourself into the playoffs. And there again, I think this is a guy that you can't go against, and I will prove myself wrong in saying I got somebody else locked in for 2 race wins in the playoffs, and that's Denny Hamlin. There again, I took him last week to win at Darlington. He finished second, but I will take him to win Martinsville. We know that's a home track for Denny. We do know that Denny runs very, very well at Martinsville, barring this last spring race. I will say he ran like garbage during that race. I think they have it figured out. I think that he stresses the importance of not only one, coming in and running at one of his home tracks and getting the win, but locking himself into the playoffs. I think this is going to be his best shot out of these last 3 races, to go out and get the job done. So for me, the 11 wins Martinsville, locks himself in. And I know you guys are going, well, damn, who's that leave? Well, the 4 cars that are out to me after the round of 8. And here we go, man. We got some good stuff going on. 4 cars out of the round of 8. The 18, Kyle Busch, Candyman himself, misses the championship 4. William Byron survives all the way to the round of 8, makes it. Tyler Reddick makes it all the way to the round of 8, out before the 4. And unfortunately, Ryan Blaney himself out as well, man. That's just my honest opinion. And there again, I think those guys all can contend. I think that, if somebody has a mishap, if somebody has a couple bad races and they're there to pounce and have solid days, they can find themselves in the 4. They can find themselves anybody. I mean, being said all the way from the round of 16 down to the final 4, if some of these guys have a bad race, other guys can find themselves ahead of them, eliminating everything that I just talked about. But at the end of the day, that's just my opinion. So the final championship 4 looks something like this to me. 1 is going to be Joey Logano locking himself in, like I said, at Las Vegas. 2 for me will be the 5, Kyle Larson locks himself in at Homestead, Miami. 3, Denny Hamlin wins Martinsville, locks himself in. And the man, the myth, the legend himself, Chase the Bulldog Elliott, points his way in and finds himself in that championship 4. I think that after the bad race that he had this weekend at Darlington, that 9's really going to get on it. I really hope it's not a foreseen of something that's to come, like we've had all this good luck throughout the season and really consistent and really good races for the bad ones that they've had. And I really hope they find a way to get in. And this is it. Hopefully he wins one of these 3 and doesn't have to worry about it. But I think he points himself in. I think he gets the job done. And I think you see Chase Elliott going in it. So 2022 champion. And this really took me a minute to think about, was I going to change who I picked? And I said, you know what, I'm going to stay true to my word. I started talking this about week 5 in it. Chase Elliott, man, just looked poised all weekend to go out and be a 2022 championship. And yes, I am a Chase Elliott fan, but I thought if somebody had a better season out there running consistently, the amount of wins, the amount of top 5s, the amount of 10s, the stage points, how many times he found himself up front with bad race strategy or bad race cars and still contending up front, Elliott has proven to me that he is hands down probably the most championship-worthy contending race car team out there right now in the sport. The 9 deserves it. He had a great regular season. He smoked everybody in the regular season points. Had a really bad run there at Darlington, got caught up, never really had the balance. Some things fell off, got in a wreck. Ended his day, hey, it happens to the best of them, clearly. But to me, Chase the Bulldog Elliott goes out claiming his 2nd career ever Cup Series championship. I'm telling you, man, I think it's going to be hard to take the kid away, and who knows, man, he could go do it. I mean, any of these guys can go and do it. This is just me breaking down, the bracket series, I mean, it could end up all 4 Hendrick cars. It could end up with, whatever. But if you go and you look at it, that's a lot of championships won back-to-back at Hendrick. You had You know, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, it sounds pretty good to me if you ask me, man. So at the end of the day, like I said, I wanted to break it down for y'all. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts of who stay put off of my list, who wins what race, where. I like calling it out. It kind of makes me look stupid sometimes, you know, calling my shot like I did with Ryan Blaney at Michigan. But at the end of the day, man, it's all for fun. It's all for a good laugh. We don't know what's going to happen. These guys don't know what's going to happen. That's why we call it racing, man. Anything can happen. And in a lot of these places like Talladega and these road courses, anybody can win. We just saw it. Who would have thought that, you know, Eric Jones would have come out and got the Southern 500? I don't think anybody, I mean, maybe Eric Jones fan did. Brandon sure didn't, I promise you that. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's why we love racing. Anything can happen and it gets wild, man. So that's going to do it right there for the championship playoff bracket, the Atlanta Man playoff bracket. Before we get on to the grubbing, I do want to touch base a couple things. Checker flag for charity, y'all. Like I said, we got a lot of big events coming up here at Coach's. October 15th, Saturday, starting at 9, we got a barbecue competition. It's actual Rubbin' and Grubbin's first annual Burnout Barbecue Contest. There's still plenty of time to get registered. You can find that on Facebook if you look at events. Burnout Barbecue Contest. Look at me, Brandon Bain. You'll find it. There's a link there, man. Go on there. Tell me you're going to, be at the event. Drop a team name, or you can be here. Registration starts at 8. It ends at 9, y'all. I am going to keep it open if you do want to come up and just cup a couple categories. You can, but it's a 3-category barbecue contest. It's a chicken item. Doesn't matter what it is, wings, breasts, a whole chicken, doesn't matter, whatever you want to cook. It's a chicken item that gets judged, pork ribs that get judged, and then any other pork item outside of ribs. So you can do a tenderloin, you can do a pork loin, you can do pork steak, pork chops. Doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want, man. And it's all based off of a point judging system. I'll break all those details down once everybody's here and we're in the lot. But please go out. It's all for Payson Thompson. Thing Checkered Flag for Charity is. All proceeds go to her. We got a 50-50 raffle going. So that's going to be big. Cooler full of joy. We got a boat trip giving away. Excuse me, y'all. Porky Pig up here. Got a lot of other things that we're, raffling off throughout the day. Coaches is going to be here. They've got, the football out back here at the Sound Garden. But the more the merrier. Everybody come out and support, man. It's going to be awesome. October 15th, Saturday. Like I said, now the barbecue contest does pay out cash money to the winning. What we do is we pay out for the best ribs, the best chicken, and the best other pork item. And then whoever has the most points accumulated through those 3 events wins the grand champion. They get paid cash money there as well. So you guys please come out, support that. Again, that's October 15th, right out here in Coach's back little gravel parking lot. We're going to have a little spot blocked off. So you will be able to pull your smoker in. But like I said, if you want to register for the full event, it's at 8 to 9. If you want to come up and just do ribs, hey, man, like I said, ribs get judged at 3. So the judgings are at 12, 3, and 5. If you got time to get them done before then, come on out. The more the merrier, man. Like I said, it's all for a good cause. Payson Thompson's educational fund. So, and like I said, on that barbecue contest, man, you guys get an opportunity to come beat me, right? Like, I am the barbecue king. Anybody that's ever had Atlanta Man's ribs or barbecue in general, go, oh man, that is probably one of the best ribs I've ever had in my life. I know my way around the smoker, man. I know my way around the kitchen. Y'all come challenge me, man. Come on, put your money where your mouth is. Come cook your stuff. I hope Demasi comes out. I want Demasi to come out. Speaking of the devil, I want one of these guys to come out and start a barbecue team on that day too. See what they can hang with the Atlanta Man. I got Sean Herb over here, y'all. The Candy Man Jr. We call him the junior size Snicker. Kyle Busch is the full size. We call him the junior size. But we're going to get him in here. Hopefully he comes out in barbecue contest, enter the team. But again, you got a chance to beat the man, the myth, the legend himself, Atlanta Man, on the barbecue. And if you guys, hey, when you see my smoker, it's probably going to make you chuckle a little bit, but don't be surprised about what comes out, boy. It's all about the finished product, and Brandon cooks the money meat, y'all. I'm going to tell y'all that right now. I do got to give a big shout out to a couple sponsors of mine. Parker Eccles over there, Arbor Man Tree Service, always sponsors the show, has for the last few years. I love you, brother. Thank you for what you do for me. You're going to see that number for Arbor Man scrolling. As I always say, man, anything you need tree service-wise, make sure you give Parker Eccles a call over there, Arbor Man, locally owned, locally operated, insured. If you're unsure of what you need, man, like I said, give him a call. He's more than fair. He'll come out and give you an estimate. Tree trimming, full tree removal, stump grinding, anything and everything that has to do with tree service, man. he'll handle it. Make sure you give Parker a call over there. Got to give a big shout out to Lamar over there at Lamar's Body Shop right up here off Skidaway, man. Serving Savannah for 35 plus years, man. A staple of the area, a staple at Coach's Corner, and awesome sponsor and an awesome dude for me as well. So you'll see both of those numbers scrolling on the screen for tonight. Make sure there again, if you need tree service, you call Parker over at Arborman. You need anything done with that automotive body work, paint work, anything done, take it up here to Lamar's office Skidaway. I always say it's a win-win because it's right down the road from Coach's as well. You can come up here, have a beer, waiting on your car estimate, whatever it may be, something to eat, go back. Hey, man, he's always going to take care of you. So like I said, both those numbers will be scrolling. Also got to give a big shout out to the company who makes these badass sunglasses that I have on right now because, by the way, these things are legit. Redfin, you see the couple signs. I don't know if you guys can see those or not, but is a good sponsor here at Coach's Corner as well with John Henderson. So got to give a shout out to Redfin, man. I'm definitely going to have to get a pair of these because these are pretty legit. If you were a fisherman out on the water, these definitely need to become a main staple in your tackle box around your neck, man. Coaches, we all know all these big name sunglasses. Let me tell you, Redfin is awesome. These things, to me, actually feel better on my face than a couple pair of coaches that I've had. I'm pretty sure they are locally owned, right? Locally owned, right here out of Savannah, Georgia, man. They got a couple glasses, couple series, I know models that they have called Tybee. Hey, man, these dudes know what they're doing when it comes to sunglasses. I had to give them a big shout out. Lawrence let me wear his pair, but got to give a shout out to them as well because they do make some badass sunglasses, man. So definitely go check them out. Redfin, if you haven't yet, make sure you check them out, man. Bam, couple bucks going in already. That's how we like to do it. If you don't know what this is about, I'll explain it to you. Every time I say a swear word during the show, we throw $1 into our swear bucket. All goes to the Checkered Flag for Charity, man. So, but getting into the Checkered Flag for Charity for this week, like I said, Eric Jones wins. Dude, that is a whopping hit right there. That's 43 bucks that go into that pot. The iconic Richard Petty number 43 hit at Darlington. 43 more, man. That puts us right around a little bit over 3,000 bucks in for the year, man. I tell you what, none of that is possible without you guys out there tuning in, the patrons of Coach's Corner, all the gentlemen that run the other shows, all the other hosts of the other shows. We all come together as a big family and raise this money. None of this is possible without y'all, without them, and definitely without John and Adele Henderson, man, for opening their doors up for us to be able to do this. Like I say all the time, if you ever come to Coach's, you're a patron of Coach's, you want to donate to the Checkered Flag for Charity, it doesn't matter the denomination. I say it all the time, nickels, pennies, dimes, 10, 20s, 150s, doesn't matter what you got to give. Make sure you give it up. You can stop one of your waitresses, waiters, bartenders. Hell, if you even see John and Adele in there, stop them, let them know you want to donate Checkered Flag for Charity or whatever charitable cause we have here at Coach's. They're definitely going to make sure it goes to the right place, man. So, like I said, I'm going to give a shout out to all the shows because as soon as we do this the grubbing part, Brandon is out. Got to give a big shout out to Carl DeMasi out there with Coach's Sports Report, dropping all that knowledge on prep sports every Saturday, 9 to 9-ish, 10:30. Who knows? Coach gets on it, breaking down all prep sports, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, volleyball, whatever you got, track, whatever you got, man. Coach is going to keep you up to date on everything in the Savannah area. And he's also got the other show, drops a new episode every Tuesday night, Who's on First Base, coming to you live with Kyle Lawson and Coach DeMasi, breaking down all that big, Major League Baseball news, keeping you up to date on, division races, who's hot, who's not, what's happening. Hey, I know them Braves, man. Here we go, baby. We getting into the heat of it. We got to keep winning. Got to keep doing it. That's what it's all about, man. But make sure you tune into both those shows. Like I said, every Tuesday you can catch Coach Carl, Who on First Base with Kyle Lawson. And then every Saturday morning, 9 until, you can catch them right there on Coach Carl's DeMasi Sports Report. Coach, thank you for all your support and everything you do for me on Rubbin' and Grubbin' and everything you do for all these kids out here in the Chatham County area, man. You're an awesome dude, awesome coach, brother. So big shout out there to Sean and Brent on the 19th hole. Them boys are crazy. I'm going to talk them into getting a barbecue contest, so you'll be able to come out and see them and watch how much these boys cut a fool as well. Travis over there at Hot Grits, got to give him a big shout out, man. You can stream Hot Grits podcast anywhere you stream your podcast. New episode drops every Tuesday, so make sure you go out and support that man as well. He does a great job breaking down all national sports, local sports. You can also know Travis Udon does some things for the Connect, also does some things for a few other sports places here in Savannah. Man knows his stuff, knows what he's talking about, so make sure you tune in and catch that podcast for sure, man. But that's going to do it for the rubbing and the news. We getting right on into the grubbing part. And I went with one of my favorites out of Coach's up here. I didn't go full Monty tonight because I don't like to do that, but I am going to do it here this week. We got the home run burger tonight. So we got lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle. We got bacon on that bad boy, half-pound patty, cheese. Come on, dude. This thing is legit. If you have not had a burger out of Coach's yet, they have really, really good hamburgers, y'all. I usually go with what they call the Grand Slam burger, which is 2 half-pound patties. And Brandon's getting ready to make them come out with the triple burger that we're going to call like the Daytona burger or something. We're going to have something even bigger than that because that's how much I love the hamburgers here at Coach's. But at the end of the day, I went with the classic crinkle fries. Okay, are always legit. Some of my favorite. As soon as I get out of here, this is gone. I don't even know if it's going to make it home. I might be in the car on the way home. But do want to say thank you guys as well for tuning in, man. Like I said, go out, like, share, follow all that social media we got. But I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday out there. Hope everybody's staying safe. Hope school's going good for all the kids. Parents, I would ask and say I hope school's going for you, but I do as well. I know how much of a drag homework and everything else can be with my 2 out there, and just the odds and ends, especially the teenagers in high school. Good Lord, they're driving me crazy, but I love both of them. But at the end of the day, make sure you hug your loved ones, give them a kiss, man. Tomorrow's never given, and until next time, y'all stay safe, and as always, bam, wash your hands, y'all. Love you guys. Yeah, these are nice, man. Jekyll is the ones you went with. I like these, man.